welcome to Motivational Moments. I'm Coach Rosa Montanero, your training and workshops coordinator with RochesterWorks. Every week we get together for a few minutes, 10 minutes at the most, to talk about something to hopefully keep you motivated, keep you on track, help you to move in the direction you want to go in your career and in your business. That's what we're here to help you do. Moving forward with these motivational little coaching segments. Grab your cup of coffee. It's a fun time to just take a break and feed your mind something positive. Series right now. And our series is expanding your mind. You're springing into training and expanding your mind. And I've had a lot of segments this month about what you can do that, to gain the skills you need to reach the goal you want to be in a year from now, a milestone to reach it. And there's a lot of things we talked about as far as skills go, transferable skills, where those resources are. And this week I want to talk about your soft skills, your EQ, right? Emotional intelligence. People often think about IQ, their academic intelligence, and even their hard skills, but there's a lot to be said about our emotional intelligence and the soft skills that we have. And I find that most employers will say, and on both sides, whether it's their success in business or their most successful employees, they have really good soft skills. They have a high emotional intelligence. And that includes your leadership ability, your communication, teamwork, resilience. These are just some examples of really important aspects of our emotional intelligence. And so what I want to share with you today is some of the non-traditional ways I've learned that have helped me personally develop these skills, and I've recommended them to other people, and they've shared that they've found those to be useful as well. So we're not just talking about going back to school, taking a class, getting certified. You can read a book. You can add to your skill set just by listening to an audiobook and applying some of the things you've learned. And so some of my very, very favorites. I'll begin with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is one of my very favorites. I started off with Tony Robbins nearly 40 years ago. Pretty darn close. Pretty darn close to 40 years ago. And his first book I read was Unlimited Power. A little intense. I don't know if everybody would like to read that book because it is pretty, it's very information dense. I did do an Unlimited Power weekend with him. That was fantastic. And there's also Awaken the Giant Within, which is very, very good. I loved Awaken the Giant Within. I found that to be even easier to read. And there's also Personal Power. You can go on YouTube and you can listen to a number of his sessions. Now, here's what I learned from Tony Robbins. I learned that we are co-creators of our destiny, right? Our minds shape the way we see the world. I have a little tickle, sorry. Our minds shape the way we see the world, and we need to influence that. It's very important. And so I feel that both transformational vocabulary he shares, the power of our beliefs, the power of our questions, and it's all information, by the way, that is in our 5 steps to rapid employment. We do have a whole training series, 5 days, that is heavily influenced by Tony Robbins because the creator, Jay Block, is a similar-minded student and teacher. So I love those type of programs. Just so much, taught me a lot. Now, my other favorites are Brendon Burchard. Brendon Burchard wrote a number of books, The Motivation Manifesto. He wrote, the one I read recently is The Peak Performance, Habits of Peak Performers. And he really does a lot of research on performance. And he breaks it down. Like, here's what you need to do to be successful in all aspects of your life and to achieve more than maybe the average person achieves. And I think it's just the mindset, why I like that, because it gets you into the mindset of saying, it's okay that I want more. And I do expect more from myself, but I'm mature about it. And I have boundaries around it. And here's some very specific things that I can do to show myself that I'm highly productive and I have balance. And I get a lot done without necessarily resenting other people for not doing the same thing. It's really, really good stuff. I love his books. Of course, if we go back in time to the beginning, one of the first ones, The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. That taught me a lot. I read that as a teenager. I read that over 40 years ago. And that was really about how to be a little more resilient, how to redirect your thoughts, and how our perception is really important, because we look at it like that's what's really happening. We believe what we think we see and then react to that. And that's the core of most imbalance in the workplace and relationships. It's because people are sticking to their own perception and believing it's 100% accurate, when in fact there are other people's perceptions that are accurate for them as well. And that's huge emotional intelligence awareness. Cybernetics, one of my other very favorites. Again, more than 4 decades ago I read, and it was really interesting. A plastic surgeon wrote about, why is it that somebody who has minimal flaws sees themselves so unattractive that they want to have major reconstruction surgery, and someone else who has maybe major barriers and disfiguration has even a higher sense of self-esteem. And he learned that in order to help them, if they said they wanted something done, reconstructive wise, that he'd have to help them see themselves differently, because if the image never changed in their mind, they wouldn't change. They'd still be just as dissatisfied, and they would still see themselves the same way. And it's very fascinating because it does reveal to ourselves kind of the inner games we play. And this is all, like I said, these are all soft skills. This is all inside, but it's powerful and makes a huge difference, because this is how we learn to communicate. This is how we learn to get along with other people. This is how we learn to be our best selves while we're helping others be their best selves, or even better. That's great, helping people be their best selves, but accepting people where they are and meeting them where they are and appreciating who they are, very valuable. And that's going to make you marketable in the workplace. Now, I am a fan of Mary Kay Ash. She is the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, and she writes the best books. I loved her books. Her books helped me all throughout my life, different phases and stages. And I really admired her as a businesswoman. And she has excellent books that have nothing to do with cosmetics. They're about leadership, managing people, creating a life that you love. I love one of the ones that You Can Have It All, or You Deserve It All, or something like that. I've liked her people management one too, about leadership. And in those books, she's teaching you about heavily how to communicate, how to influence people, how to inspire them, and also how to create strategies in your life, assuming you have other things to do other than a job. You have little children and a mate and a home and a spiritual relationship that you value, and you want to make time for all those things. And she does share what she does to do that. It's very, very good. Those are good books. I'm a fan of the Enneagram. I teach the Enneagram usually once every 6 weeks or so at RochesterWorks. You can take it. It's a great class. And it's about personality styles. What I love about the Enneagram is it does teach us about what motivates us, what motivates other people, what turns us off, what do we avoid, what makes us almost paralyzed, when we're like, no, that's not something I want to do. And then you start to see the dynamics when you're interacting with people, to understand that people have they have these concerns, part of their identity, that if you push that button, it's very harmful to them, and in a way where they don't become their best. It's very stressful to them. Let's say stressful, not harmful, but it's stressful. And when we understand that, we then know how to productively facilitate conversations and even assign activities in ways that bring out the best in them and maybe help them grow through some of those stress points. It's very excellent. And I love the Enneagram. And there's a lot of good podcasts that I've heard people interview someone about the Enneagram, and it's really good. Now, one of my other favorites is the Four Agreements. The Four Agreements teaches us about, I think, just being wiser with the world and ourselves, not taking things personally when people say things, understanding that maybe they're just coming from a different place. It's not a reflection of you necessarily. And that when we're doing our best and we're being honest with how we communicate, that is good enough. And I think that's an important lesson for us. I think that's something that really will round out your ability to be resilient. It's really important, resilience, when life is happening. And a lot of these books really do help with resilience. And as we wrap up some of my very favorites, like if I'm talking about resilience, I can't ignore John Maxwell. Love John Maxwell. He writes excellent books on leadership and influence and team building and spirituality. And one of the ones I've really, really found useful, especially during job change, starting a career, ending a business, starting something new, failing forward. Excellent book on resilience. And you learn about a lot of people that you think are super successful, how many times they failed, how many times they got themselves back up and did it all over again. And resilience is very, very, very critical. Now, one thing I can tell you as your coach and trainer is I see the people that are most successful in the workplace and in business, not because they have the highest IQs, but because they have the highest EQ, the emotional intelligence. Because that's what allows us to, and I say us because I'm in that category, it allows us to be very quick in assessing what's going on, adapting or pivoting when needed, understanding where your skill gap might be, and resourcefully figuring out how to fill that while you're, dancing, so to speak, in a team, in a company. It's almost like just a gentle little gliding. You know how to move around, make things happen, stay on track, and not overanalyze it. And I know that. I can say from all of my most successful accomplishments, I have worked side by side with people with so much more education than I could ever have. PhDs, really great trained minds, some of the most smartest people I've ever met. And what's interesting is at the end of the day, in some of those circumstances and some of those assignments, when they had to decide who's staying and who's leaving, who are they going to keep on this project and who are they going to no longer keep, and all of us were being paid the same, I often was the one who was kept. And I don't have the highest level of education, but I do have a very high EQ. And I found that I was often surprised, but I found people really appreciated the qualities that I brought to that team. And it was because of so many things that I'm sharing with you. And so I truly believe that. I believe that with my heart and soul, that has a lot to do with how far we go and how successful we can be. And so I really want you to think about this. Look at your goal a year from now, like we started with. Where do you need to be to get there? You have your skills lined out. Well, here's the transferable skills. Here's some of the things I want. Here's some of the maybe certifications I need. But then add to it, what else do I need to help me to be more effective, to be more fulfilled, to contribute in a way that's meaningful. And add that to your list and find ways to bring that in. And it could be reading a book. It could be listening to a podcast. It could be, I love audiobooks. It could be just feeding your mind with a consistent message. And how can you be more resilient? How can you see people differently? How can you be less critical and more mature and accepting of individuals, of where they are, and appreciate it? That's going to take you very far. I hope this series was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to our next series as it comes up. We're going to focus more in June on self-care, especially during transition, and that recharge of our battery, right? Getting that battery recharged. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.